What's the date today? 19th meeting of the Water and Wastewater Commission. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of the meeting for public broadcast. If anyone in the audience is recording, please identify yourself for the record now. State your name. Okay. At this time, if everybody could put their electronic devices in silent mode. And at this point, is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak? If there is, please approach the podium, identify your name and address, and the agenda item. You have 2 minutes to address us.
Jacqueline Wetchy, Fitchburg resident, speaking on number 3 water budget and number 4 chemical supply concerns. As the city faces a difficult budget year, I urge you to suspend fluoridation of the public water supply. While cessation of fluoridation requires a home rule petition, suspension does not. Much fluoride comes from China and is subject to tariffs. In 2022, due to COVID supply chain issues, 8 different communities suspended fluoridation: Fall River, Holden, Medway, Natick, North Attleboro, Rutland, Shrewsbury, and Swansea, so there is precedent. Previously, Amesbury and Edgartown suspended it over separate issues. Not only will we save on fluoride chemicals, but due to its acidic nature, fluoride shortens the lifespan of equipment in our water treatment plants. It can also increase costs for workers' comp due to fluoride accidents. In the past, 2 Fitchburg water treatment operators were sent to the hospital due to a fluoride accident. Many other places are recognizing the dangers, and the entire state of Utah just banned fluoridation of water. Fluoridation began prior to the advent of things like fluoridated toothpaste. Those who want fluoride can now obtain it from other sources. Fluoridated toothpaste is actually much cheaper than non-fluoridated and is given out free to poor city residents and hygiene kits from the health department. Therefore, we should not incur these unnecessary expenses in our budget, nor should we forcibly medicate the population through the water supply. It is a violation of civil and human rights and bodily and medical autonomy. In Utah, water treatment plants are now stuck with fluoride they wasted money on and can't use. Florida will likely be next, and any time now, new federal regulations could do the same here. Please be prudent with our tax dollars, cut fluoride from your budget this year, and suspend its use. Thank you.
Thank you for your interest. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Okay, there was, I think, there was an additional written letter that was provided to the commissioners, and it was placed on file. Let's see. We sent out the minutes of the February 19th meeting. Did everybody have a chance to review those?
Yes.
So I'll accept a motion. Any changes or additions? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
A second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Water Division. John.
Good evening, everyone. Presenting my draft FY26 budget tonight, and with the emphasis on the word draft. We wanted to get it before you just to kind of get you looking at it. I'm not going to go through it line item by line item because there's some adjustments that will have to be made. We're still waiting on some information on indirect costs of the city, you know, so that the health insurance costs for our employees and things like that. So we need to get those numbers back from the city. And that's going to be a little bit later on. I'm not sure how much later on. It'll have to be resolved at some point. So revenues, you know, are in line with what we projected for the rate study in this current fiscal year. So we have a 12% rate increase June 1st, 2025. So we're going to add that into the projected revenue under water rates. And like I said, I just looked at the commitment for this past month based on our billing, and it's been averaging, we had a 12% increase last year, and it's been averaging a little bit more than that. So, so that's a plus. I think the dry fall helped us, and if we have some pretty good weather this spring, that'll help us as well. The only thing that's might hurt us a bit is that the state is, and a good portion of it is still in a level 3 severe drought. So with the rain this week and some rain coming Friday, and I guess quite a bit coming on Monday, that would definitely help our situation so we don't have to institute water use restrictions. One thing I will point out is that, and it just kind of parked the money per se in the water system improvements. It shows it going to 800,000, and we had anticipated having more in this fiscal year based on the rate increases, but more than likely that'll have to be readjusted to pay for the higher health insurance and things like that into the other accounts. So, like I said, I left it there. I'd love to see 800,000 in there, but that's not something I expect to happen. So, we've seen increases across, between electricity, heating, and things like that. And we will receive our chemical bids this week, so we'll have good numbers for that. One of the chemical bids that we did put out this winter was a little bit higher, but not significantly higher, so that's a plus. We haven't seen any large increases in that area, but like I said, we'll be, I think tomorrow's the closing on the consortium for the other chemicals that we use. I think wastewater will speak to it as well, but they're also part of that consortium. So like I said, the next meeting, hopefully we have some better numbers. We can start going through line by line item if you wish. But I just wanted to get it before you, just to get it, as early as possible in the process. And we'll probably have another meeting to really look at it, and probably not even require a vote till the May meeting on the budget. But at least you got a couple months to look at it. Personnel, I will say personnel costs and most of the other costs are what we expect them to be. There's some union contracts that haven't been settled, and I don't expect them to be settled before the end of the fiscal year, so we'll just maintain the status quo with those numbers. So I think that's it on the budget. If anybody had any questions at all.
Any questions for John?
Do we have any flow out of Scott yet? Overflow?
Yep. It's going into Overlook.
Is it?
Yep. Started this week. It's going to take a while, though. We only have a limited amount, though. So as long as Scott doesn't get too low, we can get it down a couple feet, but we hopefully can bring the Overlook up to about 8 feet below the spillway, which is where we're allowed to go based on the dam inspection. So, however, with the drought, once we start to lose water in Scott, because it's one of our main sources for the northern watershed and the work that we're doing at the regional plant, we need to have as much water in all our reservoirs as possible. We'll have to stop that flow, but we'll see what the weather brings. Maybe if we can bring it up and we have some more normal precipitation versus last fall's drought, maybe it'll maintain at that level. So
That's great news.
all right. So yeah, we're just trying to push that excess over there once it did start to go over the spillway. So that's Scott. And that just happened in the last couple days with the rain we had. We still have our largest reservoir, Mare Meadow. I haven't got the reading this week. We'll get it tomorrow or Friday, but last week it was still down 2.5 feet. But all the other reservoirs were close to full within a couple inches. So it's starting to go over the spillway. So I'm encouraged by that fact. So.
Another thing to add about Scott Reservoir Dam is we just recently completed a draft alternatives analysis to figure out what the best option for repairing that dam is going to be. So the plan is to continue submitting grant applications to the Dam and Seawall Repair and Removal Program to pursue repairs for Scott Reservoir Dam.
Any other questions?
Questions on the budget?
All right, the next item on my agenda is the Main Street Water Main Upgrade Project. We're actually going to be starting up at the Upper Common on Monday. They're going to be installing temporary pipe all over the next couple of weeks, so the actual excavation to replace main won't be for a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of work involved just in getting the temporary water main installed and connected to the various customers and buildings up in that area. So I'm sure it's going to be disruptive. It's just, that's the nature of the beast. I wish I wish we could do it without, redirecting traffic or stopping traffic or having detours, but that's just not possible with the amount of work and the amount of excavation that's going to go on in the room that we need in the streets. So, so just a heads up on that. As we finish a section, they'll remove the temporary pipe and kind of leapfrog down to the next couple blocks. I'll be happy to get beyond the Upper Common area, at least down to City Hall and beyond there. It gets a little bit easier as far as directing traffic and how much disruption is. We'll be able to isolate, Main Street and get it over to Boulder between the side streets, but and then it'll get worse again as we get down to Lower Main Street. But it's going to be from the beginning of construction season now till We get snow in the fall. I mean, that's how long this is going to be, and may not even finish it all this year, especially, you know, as far as cleanup and patching and paving work. But we got a pretty good contractor. We're happy about that, and they really think out everything thoroughly, which is a good thing. We haven't necessarily had that experience in the past with other contractors, but they understand that them to do things correctly and lay out things and plan things correctly helps them to make more money. If they're not efficient doing that, they don't make as much money. You know, if they're running here and there and not doing things efficiently, that costs them money, and they're fully aware of that themselves. We don't have to tell them that, you know, so their efficiency helps us. So, any questions at all? And there'll be updates on the city Facebook page, emails sent out to all the contacts we have in the downtown area every week, just saying what's going on. Some of it gets pretty detailed. You know, some people may not need that level of detail, but we want to make sure we provide it so that, you know, individual building owners know exactly what's going on in their area at what time. So. All right.
Question?
Sure.
Just to follow up on the public comment, just out of curiosity, what do we spend a year on cost of the chemical?
On cost of what?
Fluoride?
I don't have a current number, but I think last time it was around 25,000.
Okay. Thank you.
And we spend overall on chemicals for treatment around 400,000. So.
Okay, thanks.
Next item on the agenda is the regional plant, the pilot study for an alternate coagulant. As I've discussed in the past, so we have a NIPD's permit for the discharge from the regional plant, the backwash from the filters and clarifiers. We don't have a sewer connection up there, so it basically flows into lagoons and then eventually makes its way down to Wyman Pond. So we have stricter standards on there for aluminum discharges. We use polyaluminum chloride as a coagulant. That was the one that was selected when the plants were built. It seemed to work the best. So we're doing pilot studies right now that started last week and will continue till the end of next week with two other coagulants that do not have aluminum in them. They're ferrous sulfate and ferric chloride. All that water that we're treating with those chemicals are going to waste. We're not allowed to use, you know, basically those clarifiers and filters that are being used to do this pilot study cannot go into the distribution system until we have a lot more work done with DEP. So, so nobody will notice a difference because not a drop goes into the water with this alternate coagulant. What we've seen with the ferrous sulfate, which is the first thing we are working with, that is, you know, seems to have favorable results. Seems to be doing what it needs to do as far as, you know, removing the fines and organics and things like that from the water. Our concern is, as we're part of this evaluation, to see what the dosage rate is, how much it's going to cost, so we understand that as well. The other thing we need to know, which is also related to cost, is what the run times on the filters are. If we're backwashing more, that's going to be more discharge of it, more use of chemical, more energy for the backwash water being pumped at high pressure, as well as the air too. So we need to be aware of that and determine not only which one's the best, but also which is, you know, the least costly. So, and that's why I think they went with, it will be a little bit more costly to use these chemicals, and that's why they went with PAC originally. But with the regulation change, we have to look at these alternates. So there will be more cost, but it should offset the cost if we had to treat the discharge or do something with that up there. So, so that's part of this whole evaluation of these two coagulants. So, and our goal is to finish this up by the end of next week, determine which ones, and then go on to the next steps with DEP, because it's a 7-month permitting process with DEP to change the coagulant, and we will require much more testing throughout our water system for lead and copper, to make sure that, you know, nothing's affected as far as our corrosion control, our pH adjustment, and things like that. So, so hopefully everything works out well with one of these. Like I said, we have favorable results so far with the first one. Any questions at all?
Questions?
All right.
Doing good.
It's a complicated process that we're looking at, just a lot of things, because we have to adjust the pH before the coagulants used, which we didn't have to do with the other coagulant. So there's a lot of adjustments that have to be made. I mean, not only did pilot studying, it's like, how efficient can we make this, and we can even make it more efficient later once we choose it. But right now, it's like, we want to make it run perfectly in the plan, see how long the filters last with it. If we're having to backwash every 5 hours versus 60 hours, that's a huge issue. So, so that all has to be evaluated as part of that project. So, on to the next one is the Meetinghouse Gatehouse Rehabilitation Project. This is at the Meetinghouse
John.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Just real quick, I want to jump back one. Just for informational purposes, I think for the public, you're starting the water main project for Main Street. Just real quick, what day was it starting?
Monday, they're coming up. They're going to start putting in temporary water main up on.
Just a rough estimate on time frame. Is it the whole year?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I had.
It's going to encompass.
Yeah, all the way from Upper to Lower Main Street, and it's going to, like I said, it's going to continue until the snow flies in the fall.
That's it. I just want everybody to kind of be aware.
Yeah.
From one end to the other, it's
Oh yeah, it's the whole length. Yeah.
disruptive, but when it's done, it's going to be.
Well, then sewer has to do their job, so that's going to be disruptive again. And then you have the bridge projects going on. The Mass DOT starting this spring, so there's a lot that people are going to have to get accustomed to, unfortunately.
So is the sewer being done after?
Yeah, we got to get all our stuff done and out of the way.
So then we have temporary on Pothole Way, and then they're gonna come in
Yeah,
and do another trench,
yeah,
and then finally we'll get paved.
yeah.
Okay.
Sewer's actually doing 2 trenches because they got to do sewer and drain, so.
Well, we're doing 2, or
That's true, you're doing 2
almost.
also. So
Yeah,
it'll be
maybe
2
one
water
wide
mains.
trench.
The 2 water mains will get
so.
done this year. Right now, there's combined sewer separation work happening up in the Elm Street, Mechanic Street, Academy Street area. That'll come down to Wood Place, and then eventually there'll be an outfall installed next to the old GE building on the Rollstone Bank side. And then we're going to go out to bid with the next phase of combined sewer work this August, which will take care of the area from essentially like City Hall, right where we are, all the way down through towards Water Street Bridge. So this year, we want to get Polito and the water main project done so that the combined sewer work next year isn't interfering with all that. So it's 2 trenches this year, 2 trenches next year and the year after, and then the light at the end of the tunnel is the paving.
But the bright side of all of this sewer separation and water projects has been that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just saying this so people understand the good that's going to come out of everything you guys have been doing, is all the roads that have been negatively impacted for the most part are getting repaved.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, so like this spring we'll be paving what's left over from the CSO 10 project, which was that area up northwest Main Street, Greektown, and up in the hill behind Greektown. And then as part of the next 2 downtown combined sewer separation projects, there'll be approximately 7 miles worth of paving incorporated into that. And that includes Main Street and all of the areas within the sewer shed that have been impacted by that combined sewer separation work, the water main work, et cetera.
You want to say that 7-mile thing again really loud?
7 miles worth of paving.
I just think it's important that people understand, things are going to get worse, and then they're going to get it's going to be such a noticeable impact because all of a sudden so much of this will be done and it's budgeted for, right?
Right.
So just try
And everything,
shed some
as
positive
far as the
light
Main Street projects, I mean, from Upper Common to Lower Common, everything will be done underground. I mean, there should be no need to excavate it, but don't hold me to that but everything that, we've done, and we've mailed and contacted and done everything good with building owners. Just if they need something upgraded, if they have a 2-inch service, they need a 4-inch service, or they need a sprinkler system installed. You know, unfortunately, we've only got like a 40% response out of building owners downtown. We've mailed mailers and after another, put door hangers, and just, you know, I just hope that, you know, we don't get everything done and they say, hey, I needed a 4-inch or what, you know. Hopefully that's not the case, but maybe when we're digging in the street in front of the building, they might say something at that point. But once it's in and to the building, you know, it's kind of a tough thing to change, so.
Yeah, and I would suggest for the general public, if there's anyone watching or listening that does own a building downtown and you haven't had a conversation with the Water Division yet regarding water services, or even with the Wastewater Division regarding roof drain connections, that type of thing, now's the time to reach out and contact someone so we can start incorporating that into the work that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, we're not mind readers. We're just, you know, we see services, we have some ideas, but if somebody's thinking about rehabbing a building and it's going to need sprinkler system and the existing one is 4-inch and all of a sudden it's 6-inch, we need to know that, you know, because when we come by with the water main, we're going to install a T with a connection, you know, and it's not going to be good to cut out a brand new water main to put in a 16 by or 12 by 6 T when we got a 12 by 4 T in there. That's not the way we want to do it, because now we're putting in couplings and things like that. You know, that's, you know, not.
So what happens once everything gets done, it's all pristine and all that, and then 3 months later, a building owner needs a 6-inch?
That'll be up to Nick as a commissioner, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there really should be some type of, you know.
So our policy is there's a 5-year non-emergency excavation moratorium on any road that's paved in the city. So that means if there's a planned project and it happens to be within that 5 years, well, sorry, you're gonna have to wait. If there's an emergency, let's say someone's water service blows and they have to dig to repair it, that's a different story. But there is that 5-year excavation moratorium. Occasionally we'll grant exceptions, but it's, you know, it's got to be a valid reason. It can't just be, well, I waited till the last minute and I decided that I want to rehab this building and I need a sprinkler system. I should have reached out before, but I forgot. Like, that's not a valid excuse.
Is it worth on the Main Street area, because it's predominantly, you know, larger buildings, larger businesses, to somehow communicate that either in a registered letter to just?
That's what I said. Mike. I said it. We've sent out at least 5 mailings, registered and regular mailing.
Okay.
And knocked on doors, put door hangers. Missy's gone through the lists and tried to cold call. I'm going to emphasize with everybody here, there's nothing more we could have done for these building owners. If they can't reach out to us, because some of them we don't even know who they are. You know, we send stuff and they don't get back to us. They've moved or wherever. It's like, you know, they need to do something, because we started last year. We did it again this year. I mean.
So you've done your due diligence multiple times.
Five certified mailings and regular mailings at the same time, you know, so, because some people don't want to take a certified letter because they got something else going on, you know what I mean? So we send it regular anyway. It's like, please, you know, it's from the water department. Well, I don't want to take that one, but at least they'll get the regular one. I honestly don't know what else. Like I said, we even started knocking on doors trying to figure out on some of them, you know. It's like, you know, it's like, I'm disappointed that we've had so little response, because I think it's so important for them as well as the city to do this correctly, you know. But
I think it's great, and I think it's great that we're talking about it, because again, now it's public, right?
Yep.
It helps us as commissioners, because sometimes somebody will tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, you know, and ask us a question. So it helps us be informed and be able to convey and understand what you guys are doing above and beyond.
Plus we had a public meeting. They sent out emails to everybody they could. Just, you know, there's never been a project that we've done more notifications to our butters than this ever. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can I just ask, how many people showed up for that public meeting? Do you know?
I couldn't do it a family thing, but Nick was there.
It was, I don't have an exact count. I have a sign-in sheet, but I didn't tally up the number. But it was, the entire room here was full, every seat. So I'd say 30 to 50 people at least.
Good.
Some were city staff, a lot were business owners. So it was good to see the turnout.
And I'm glad you brought it up, because it was taped, and it's also available to watch again afterwards. So somebody that couldn't attend can see the presentation, the questions are asked. So we've done that as well. So I just want to, you know, cut people out there listening. It's like, there's a link on the city website someplace. I don't have the exact link, but it is there for the presentation with all the information. So I think, if they want to take a look at that, they really should, so.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
We tried. I just want to emphasize that.
And I'm sure there'll be a few last-minute people that see the construction equipment outside their buildings and say, oh, shoot, we should talk to someone. And we encourage people to do that before it's too late, so, like, ideally now.
Yeah, we want to make sure this is done correctly for the city, and like I said, as well as for the building owners and customers down there, so. All right, if there's anything else, I'll go on to the next one, which, like I said, is the Meetinghouse Gatehouse project. We're going to start on this earnest in a couple weeks. The Meetinghouse Gatehouse is at the reservoir, which supplies the regional treatment plant, which supplies 2/3 of the water to the city and can supply 100% because of its elevation in the water system. So this is a pretty important project to us. In order for us to do what we need to do to the gatehouse as far as replacing traveling screens and rehabbing the gatehouse, we actually need to stop water from going through the gatehouse and then work on it dry within the the pit or wet well, as we call it, in the gatehouse. So of course we still need water coming to the city, so we're going to have to bypass pump. It's going to require 3 diesel water pumps pumping out of the reservoir and supplying the plant. 2 of them will be the main ones. One will be operating 24/7. The second one will provide flow for peak, higher demands, and then the third one will be a backup to the other 2. So it's pretty complicated because these pumps need to ramp up and down. They're based on the demands at the regional plant. But we have a good contractor for this one too that's familiar with this type of work, so we're hoping everything goes smoothly. The diesel pumps will be in place about 3 weeks. We're hoping less time, but definitely 3 weeks. So for them to get all their work done within that wet well, replace the traveling screens, do some rehabilitation of that wet well and things like that. So like I said, it'll be starting in April if all goes as planned. So there's a lot of working pieces to it because of some valves that have to be installed. We got a 30-inch valve we have to install and things like that. So any other questions on that? It's something the customers don't see whatsoever, and it's a huge project, and it's a very complicated project, and it's out in Westminster, in the woods of Westminster, one of our reservoirs. But people don't always see the money, where their money for their rates goes, but this is one of the projects that it's got to be done. The gatehouse is 120 years old, and work's been done over time, but there's some other work that needs to be done, and the only way to do it is, through basically closing it off and doing the work and then allowing the water to go back through. So we're put a lot of planning into it, a lot of thought. We're having weekly meetings, sometimes more than weekly, even though no work's being done yet. It's just a matter of getting anything lined up and making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So I'll be glad when it's done. It's very nerve-wracking, causes a lot of stress. We want to make sure you all have water. And all the businesses do, and Great Wolf does, and everybody does. So unfortunately, the other plant over on Ringe Road can supply 1/3 of the city regularly, and we also installed the pump from 2 different systems a couple years ago in anticipation of these type of projects, but it still does not have the capacity to supply the whole city for days on end. We can do it for a couple days, but it just, it's not something we can rely on for weeks on end. So there just isn't enough. That pump between the 2 systems could only be so large because of where it is, where the system is, and it can only pump so much just because of the pressures over in that area. So it's, something we, like I said, we can't rely on for a week or 2. I wish we could, but And the last item I have is a land protection project up in Ashburnham that we're applying for a grant. It's just about 35 acres, 36 acres, I guess. And I provided a handout, and on the last page of the handout, you'll see on the right-hand side is our Fitchburg water supply reservoir, and then you'll see a property on the left-hand side that has an X on it. That's the property we're talking about, and you can see that there's a couple ponds and a tributary that flows out of there down into the city's water supply reservoir, which is the second largest one in the northern reservoir system. So it's something Rick probably is familiar with it, but something that's been on the market for a while, and they dropped the price a little bit, and it's still kind of there, and we're hoping that we can work something out they would have a buyer that would build, one house, and then there'd be a conservation restriction on the rest of it. So the second page has the budget. The city's cost to preserve those acres or get a conservation restriction would be $141,000, and the rest would be through a drinking water supply protection grant, so $167,000. The total budget for the project is $310,360. I'm asking in the first page for $320,000 just to provide a little bit extra, just in case, so I don't have to come back to you and to City Council. It gives us a little bit buffer to do that. And we'll have to cover that funding and then get reimbursed by the state once the project comes to fruition. There's a lot of moving pieces, and I was out with a family emergency, so Nick thankfully was able to handle a lot of it and get things lined up. So we are looking tonight, we're basically just to approve this language for it that will allow us to, for me to act as the project manager essentially, and to utilize up to $320,000, and then of course, we're not going to spend the money unless we get the grant. Everything else works together, but we'll still need to go to City Council for this. But this is basically the first step, is to have the commission vote on this. So, so I would ask if
The motion.
have any questions.
Do you have questions on this preservation, the Wilker Road? No. Okay, so the motion you're looking for is to allow you to function as the project manager and authorized to expend up to $320,000 to acquire the preservation restriction.
Yeah.
And do you want a qualification on that regarding the reimbursement from the grant?
No, it's written. If you accept the language there, it talks about the grant.
Okay.
I think that would be fine. That's what I believe, right, Nick?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It says, and is authorized to accept the conveyance of a CR should one be successfully negotiated. So we won't be able to negotiate that unless we do receive the grant.
I apologize. I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't see that in writing.
Oh,
I guess
it's in the other document that John handed out along with his
okay.
budget.
And I told him I had everything, and I didn't have that.
Looks
That
like
first
that.
page.
All right, but we have the motion. Does someone want to make that motion?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second on the motion? Okay, discussion on the motion. Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Question.
Yes. You're supposed to
You
ask
went
that
too
before.
fast.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm slow. The grant is from whom?
The state.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no out-of-pocket cost for us?
Well, there would be $141,000, and we have a account still remaining from the CR that we actually sold to Department of Fish and Game many years ago. So there's enough money in there to cover that. So.
And those funds are restricted for
Absolutely,
this
just for land
for this use.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's realistically, it's
It's money that we have that
that's
is
specific earmarked for that.
this.
Yes.
How many
yeah.
acres?
It's 35 acres.
Okay.
It's some beautiful property. I don't know, Rick, are you familiar with it?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It is.
We one house on there is okay, but to have potential 6 houses,
Cambridge Grant.
right on the tributary, even though they'd meet the setbacks, is not really something we'd want to see. So hopefully we can make this all work. It's complicated, so just the way it is.
Thank you.
Okay, we've voted on the motion, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else, John?
I think that's it.
You still need a second on that motion?
We already voted it.
Oh, okay.
We went quicker.
We all eyed it.
Everybody eyed, and then we asked questions.
My fault.
Yeah, I just want to add, it's like, there's not many the properties have gotten so expensive, you know, and so we have to really look at them. You know, if it's far away from the reservoir, I mean, we can't spend a lot of money protecting something, even though we'd like to protect it, just because it's in the watershed. This one has a tributary in it that's not that far from the reservoir, and when they did build some ponds here and clear the area, it had negative impacts on Fitchburg Reservoir. There was a lot of silt that ran in, so we'd hate to see any type of major construction on this parcel again, because it would have the same impacts. It actually almost rendered that reservoir unusable for like a whole year because of how much sediment and silt went into there from there, and there was a whole situation with that. But so if we can protect it, it's like I said, and we kind of really hand-picking now what there is because of the values of the property is what we can you know, can protect, unfortunately, and we have to get creative with it, such as with this one. Instead of an outright purchase, is with a CR with another buyer that's only going to, you know, put one house on it. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, Mark McNamara is not with us tonight, and Ken DuPont is here to give the wastewater report.
Yeah, yeah. Good evening. Yeah, I'm just going to try to follow here what Mark had put down. As with John's budget, ours is it's a draft. So Mark had said all of the capital projects, those are pretty much where they were. Those are staying, but a lot of these numbers are going to change. You know, like could change a little bit, but not, you know, not a lot. A bigger thing on there is the Greif facility is going to be shutting down this year, so we're going to lose some revenue there. They're shutting down in July, so that's something of note. But everything's, you know, there for you, and Mark's going to go into it in more detail at the next meeting. It'll have a better, you know, the final product. If you have any questions, I can.
Any question on just this initial budget? Okay.
All right. Moving on, CSO project updates. We have CSO 10 and CSO 32, the active ones. CSO 10, we're finishing up. Yeah, this spring, Polito will be finalizing the final items on the project. Trenchless sewer, cast in place lining, trenchless work. And then once that's complete, the remaining streets will be paved. That's the big project that went on last year, so we're just trying to finalize that. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that project, but.
Questions?
Okay. Moving on, 32, CSO 32. It's located in the upper common area is where that kind of terminates, but that's going to entail the Elm Street area, High Street, Academy. That's currently ongoing. The contract is GVC. So far, they haven't met with too many issues. Basically, right now, they're doing spot repairs on Elm Street, some cast-in-place lining work, trenchless. Next month, construction's going to pick up again. They're going to be performing sewer point repairs, miscellaneous sewer and drain structure work on Bigelow Road, Elm Street, Essex Street, Rollstone Street. I don't know why Rollstone Street's on there. Yeah, I'll have to check on Rollstone Street, but anyway, Bigelow Road, Elm Street, Essex, in that area, the High Street area. So that'll be upcoming. And yeah, just in that neighborhood. And any questions on that?
Any question on CSO
project?
32? Oh,
Okay. Anything
Guess
you
we'll
want
get
to
at
add,
this
Nick?
point.
Anything
The only other thing to add is after CSO 32, that's the third phase of the downtown combined sewer separation work, CSO 45. So that'll be going out to bid sometime in likely August of this year, with construction starting either late fall this year or next year. And that'll be the rest of the downtown area. So from Upper Common down through the Water Street Bridge area, like I mentioned before.
Yep. All right, continuing, staff updates. Sewer collections is fully staffed for the first time in quite a while. So we get some new guys, they're great. They've been really proactive in learning, and they're doing a great job. So as far as with the plant, we're still short a senior operator. We also have an operator who's out on workman's comp. The senior operator's position is posted, but we haven't had any qualified applicants as of yet. And the workman's comp employee probably will not be back until June, it looks like, right now. So that's what I have for staffing. As far as process updates at the plant, with the CSO projects progressing, we have seen a great reduction in influent flow. And the closure, as I mentioned, with the Greif paper plant in June will also affect the treatment plant as far as flow goes. And the plant was designed in 1975 when we had all of this combined flow coming into it. It was designed for like 12.5 million gallons a day. Currently, we have less than 5 million. So they're trying to get the plant to function with such little flow. And my job on collection side is to take that flow out. So on their end, they're trying to deal with less flow. So things are changing. So, and they're going to be looking at, what they're going to need to do with the new NIPD's permit as well. So that's some of the challenges down at the plant right now. As far as chemical supply at the plant, they have some concerns as to, with the new tariffs coming in, not knowing the full extent of the tariffs and the effect on chemical prices. They're asking vendors to include the following wording when they submit their bid. If tariffs are implemented and a contract adjustment is needed, vendors must provide documentation, import-export data, supplier invoices, or government tariff schedules to prove the actual impact of the tariffs. And only verified increases due to the new tariffs will apply, not general inflation or other factors will be considered. So that's something that, one of the unknowns that they have, and that it was included in here. Yeah, any questions I'll try to answer, or if I can pass those along to Mark, And
Any questions for Ken? No?
all right,
Looks like you handled it.
all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other business? Okay, the next meeting of the commission will be 5 p.m. Wednesday, April 16th, here. And if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.